In ranked mode, good defense is perhaps even more important than good offense. Very good defensive scorelines can really push you forward from the competition, and that's why in this video I'll share you 5 bases from our top Legends League base builders, so you won't struggle with defense in ranked mode anytime soon. With that, hello and welcome to yet another video. My name is Gum, and if you're struggling with defenses in ranked mode, then welcome to this video. You have found yourself some pretty OP bases. Our links are of course as always in the description, and all of these 5 bases are from our top Legends League builders we have over at RH Basebuilding. So over at RH Basebuilding, we every single season we offer a Legends League subscription where you will get bases throughout the whole Legends League season from our top 4 Legends League base builders. So those are Smith, Gaku, Vibes, as well as Sir Iron, and all of these 5 bases I'm going to share with you in this video are from those 4 builders, and they know exactly how to defend in this ranked mode. And let's of course directly take a look at the first base we already see here, and this is one from Smith, and you can see it is pretty much the Legends League style you're already used to, so like with the core invisibility towers, as well as just like this kind of ring setup. But what our base builders just do a little bit differently, like they take the common concept every single top Legends League base uses and then adapt it a little bit to their own style, and also just to not make it completely the same, but like take some out of the concepts out of that, so you actually still have a base that has the good benefits of the common style, but just isn't one of those very common bases, so you don't directly know how to attack it. And as we've already seen in our latest videos where I shared some attack strategies on these kinds of bases, what you're most likely always trying to do is go for like one of those flanks with a flame flinger. Like for example, if you would attack with dragons or so, you would want to try and make a funnel with a flame flinger on like the 12 o'clock side as well as on the 6 o'clock side, and then go in from one of those sides with your dragons, for example. And now the good thing on this base would be, now in this case, you basically then have 2 directions where you can go into. So you either put down a flame flinger at 6 o'clock, and then you would drop your heroes at 12 o'clock, and then you would have to go in with your dragons from the right hand side or from the left hand side into the town hall. If you go in from the right hand side, then you have the big problem on this base that you have an invisibility tower on the backhand that is going to, well, you can't really trigger it because you're going to trigger the core invisibility tower, and this invisibility tower in the backhand is always going to stay up, and even if you trigger it early on, it is going to, well, revive itself throughout the attack, and before your dragons reach the town hall, the invis tower is back up and is going to make the town hall invisible. As well as of course everything in there, so the long shot and so on, and maybe some CC troops. And if you go in from the left hand side to take out that invisibility tower as soon as possible, then you have the problem that you're going in against 2 of those air sweepers. So if you're struggling with defending those dragon attacks, this base surely is something for you, because you can also see that on this base, as I said, people are going to deploy a flame fling at 12 o'clock or at 6 o'clock, and just take a look at the amount of traps that Smith has put against these specific flame flinger enters. So you have all of these giant bombs down here, you have 2 Tesla down here that are going to pop, you have 2 of those ground expos that are going to actually get rid of those totem spells rather quickly, and the exact same thing on the top side as well. And on this base, what Smith recommends you to use are actually 2 ice golems and 1 furnace, which you can use in the clan castle, which is of course also a very good all-rounder clan castle, and a very nasty clan castle for this specific base. So what this base is really good against, as I already said, is just generally the dragon in combination with totem spell attack strategy, but also meteor golems are not too easy on this base, because also either you go in from the left hand side and you go in against those sweepers and you would take rather much damage early on from the longstaff, for example, or you go in from the right hand side and then you once again have the invisibility tower in the backend, which is also not too nice for meteor golems, so just in general very good base for rank mode. And surely something that is also going to defend maybe a few 1-stars here and there. So if you want to make some attackers rage quit, then this is surely a base I recommend copying. Next up is another base from Smith, and this one also looks very similar to like the common base setups which you basically have everywhere in Legends League as well as just in rank mode in general, with the big difference that Smith has added like one compartment on the other side of the Clan Castle as well as Monolith compartment with like a multi-gear tower as well as the bomb hive in there, and that just makes it so incredibly annoying to attack, because the two most common setups on these kind of bases with the two most common strategies, like for example with Totem Dragons, you would do a Flame Flinger at 12 o'clock or at 9 o'clock and then just to funnel like that specific side, and then you would put your heroes on the adjacent side to that, so like on the opposite side of that. Like for example, you would put a Flame Flinger at 12 o'clock and then heroes at 9 o'clock, and then you send everything straight through the middle into the Monolith compartment. But then you have the big problem that you have these few backend defenses where all of the troops are just going to walk around because of all of these walls that are right here. And also if you're going in with like meteor golems, like with meteor golems, the two entries you would do are, for example, you could go in with a fireball at 12 o'clock, fireball at 9 o'clock, or a fireball at 6 o'clock, or at 3 o'clock. And then what you always want to do is like go in from like one of the other corners. Like for example, you could do a fireball at 3 o'clock, and then you want to go in from 6 o'clock with a log launcher to get into the base. But the big problem is you just have those few defenses here inside of that compartment that is going to make funneling incredibly hard. And also if you want to go into the Monolith compartment, for example, you throw a fireball at 12 o'clock and you go in from the left hand side into the Monolith compartment with a log launcher. And then you have just so many unreachable defenses where all of your meteor golems are just going to walk around. And those are just making it incredibly hard to get those 3 stars, and it just gets incredibly unpredictable what your troops are going to do. And that is exactly how you can defend those top players, because this base is just so incredibly unpredictable, because it is similar to bases they have already seen before, but yet it just has a few differences which just makes it for those troops to behave incredibly weird. And also on this base, Smith recommends you to use 2 ice golems, 1 furnace, and then the remaining you will just fill it up with archers. Now let's move on to the next base builder, which would be Gaku, and Gaku has to offer this incredibly weird looking base, which is I just wouldn't have any idea on how to attack it. And on this base we're going to use 1 furnace in combination with 5 headhunters, and then you will just fill up the remaining troop slots with archers in the inside of the clan castle. And to be quite honest, I wouldn't even know how to approach this base, because of course the most common entry would, for example, be Flame Fling at 3 o'clock or Flame Fling at 9 o'clock, but it's just so incredibly hard to actually make that funnel, because you just have to take out so many defenses before you can go into, well, you can start your dragons. Like for example, you would have to really wait for an Inferno Tower as well as the Air Sweeper to go down. And you really just can't wait for that, because so many defenses are just in front of that, which are going to slow down that Flame Flinger before it actually finishes funneling. And then on the other side, you also just have to wait so long for your heroes to do the opposite side funneling before you can actually send in your dragons, and your dragons would make their way through to the core of the base, so like to the Town Hall compartment as well as to the Monolith, and then afterwards to the Revenge Tower. So whenever you just wait for the funneling to be fulfilled, it is already going to be a time fail. So that's the big issue if you're attacking the base. Like, you have to wait incredibly long for funneling, and then you're going to get a time fail. And if you're not waiting long enough for funneling, you just don't have sufficient funneling and all of your troops are going to walk on the outside, and that monolith is going to do a lot of work. Same of course goes for the revenge tower as well as for the bomb pipe, which has such a giant range if you have it completely leveled up to level 10. Also now on level 9 it is so incredibly big, this range. The bomb pipe is just such an incredibly strong defense, and the long shot is of course also something which you really can't underestimate, and even though it gets nerfed soon, it gets a range nerf, it is still going to completely outrange every single one of those troops and deal a lot of damage. Next base is from the one and only Vibes, and on this base you're going to use 3 Headhunters, 1 Ice Golem and 1 Furnace in your clan castle, and fill the rest up of course once again with archers. What else? And this base is just, I would say, a completely new concept. It has some some parts of common bases, like for example there are a few bases out there that also have like the incredibly isolated revenge tower, and that incredibly isolated revenge tower is just so hard to take out. Well, it's completely isolated and it is going to do a lot of work against so many attack strategies. Like if you're going in with meteor golems as well as dragons, you basically have to go into the town hall compartment. Because if you go in from the top side, first of all, you're risking a 1-star, which you really don't want happening in Legends League, of course, or just in ranked mode in general, because one single 1-star can completely ruin your week or your day or even your whole month. And also, if you're going in from the top side, you're going in against both of those fire spitters, which are just going to do a lot of harm. So basically you have to go in from the bottom side, and if you go in from the bottom side, then good luck taking out that revenge tower. Because, well, everything is, all of these defenses are just placed perfectly for the revenge tower to, well, not get really, so any troops don't really lock onto that revenge tower and are going to walk around it. And just like on the other base, you just have a lot of trouble funneling right here. And that is mainly just because of these walls. Even though these few walls in front of the wizard tower don't look like they do a lot of they have a lot of impact, the main thing what they are going to do is just protect that expo. So if you want to funnel with, for example, the Archer Queen or with a Barbarian King, all of those troops are going to walk past that expo, just because you can't really place it well onto the super wizard tower, but you have to you forcefully have to place your funneling troops on top of that multi-archer tower. And even if the troops will lock onto the expo sooner or later, most of the times by then it takes way too much time, and also those 2 hidden Tesla are going to get going to pop, and those hidden Tesla are also going to lure some of your funneling troops and just slow everything down. So once those expos stay up, all of the, none of the troops are actually going towards the revenge tower, and one single revenge tower can really do a lot of harm. So with this base, most of the times you're not really going to get 2 1-star defenses, because people are just forced to go in from the bottom side, and then most of the times they're of course getting the 2-star, but most of the times it's also not the biggest percentage. So you will see a lot of 60, maybe 70% defenses with this base. And also if like the attacker wants to go in with the risk and actually goes in from the top side, like 80% of the times it is going to be a 1-star if the attacker decides to go in from like the opposite side of the town hall. So therefore this base is also something where I really feel comfortable that it is going to get a lot of good defenses for you in rank mode. So Iron is the next base builder we're going to take a look at, with this, I would say, box type of anti-2-star base, just with an incredibly isolated town hall and just everything else around it, but still in compartments. So not really unlike the common bases where you have like so many wall rings around the town hall that you can't really put the remaining defenses in compartments. Yet still on this base, almost every single one of those important defenses or like those key defenses has been put into a compartment. And also on this base you see a double rage tower setup. And together with like the multi-gear tower, most of the people are actually getting forced to go into the right hand side. Like for example, most people just want to try to take out the multi-gear tower or like this spell tower compartment with like a fireball, and that's exactly where these hidden Tesla come into play. So people are going to drop their Grand Warden on the right hand side to drop a fireball on a rage tower setup, and most of the times they are just not quick enough with their spells or with their healers, and also like the multi-gear towers on there, as well as 3 Tesla, as well as for example the skeleton trap, and the Grand Warden is down very quickly. And this bait just works like a charm, because of course people are going to go in from the right hand side most of the times, because most people just like attacking from the right hand side. And also how the base is structured, you just basically want to go into the revenge tower as well as the bomb hive, because you just don't really want to have it on the back end. And also if you're going from like the top side, for example, you don't really have a possibility on really the pathing is just not too nice. The pathing around the town hall is just incredibly ugly, as well as just everything else. Dragons are not really going to path towards the town hall. If you're using a log launcher for the town hall, the log launcher basically gets 0 value except for the town hall. And even then, the log launcher most of the times is not even going to take out the town hall, because it's going to open up too soon. So almost every single attacker, if they're going in with, for example, meteor golems, or also maybe with like a royal champion charge, they're going in from like the right hand side with a Grand Warden walk, and also maybe with a royal champion charge from the bottom side. And that's exactly also where every single one of these giant bombs as well as the traps comes into play. So also this base just looks incredibly wild at the first glance. And basically what this base does, it is always forcing attackers towards a very specific entry. So most people just attack this base incredibly similar, and that's exactly where in Legends League or where in ranked mode you can make those baits. And Sir Iron has completely optimized this base with every single trap against those common entries. So most defenses you're going to see on this base are actually by those baits, and especially the bait for the Grand Warden walk at 3 o'clock. So if you like baiting some people, then this is surely a base you can use. All of the base links are of course as always in the description. If you don't want to miss any more free bases, then make sure to subscribe to our channel to always stay up to date. With that, I would say see you guys soon until the next video. Until then, see ya and bye bye.